Hi, this is Chronicles and I'm your host, Simon Rushton. Today we have a lovely Nubian sister dressed up with a head wrap and earrings and everything. And she's going to tell us about what it's like during her professional industry, as usual. I will let her explain what she does and then we'll move on to other things. So nice to have you.
Hi Simon.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me on your show today.
It's spontaneous. So tell everybody, what do you do for a living?
Okay, so I've just started a new job. So I'm working in social housing. I'm working in the finance area of social housing. I've literally just started this week.
So you're one of the few people who've managed to get a job just after the lockdown.
Well, it's actually quite interesting because I'm one of the few people that have, one of a majority that's also lost a job in lockdown because of COVID. So at the beginning part of COVID, I was in a contract, and because of the whole COVID situation, I actually lost a contract. But then I was fortunate enough to have found something else.
Did it take you a long time to find another job?
It did. Fortunately, in the interim of that, I have a part-time job, so I was able to make money by other means. And quite interestingly, my part-time job is working with the homeless. And I don't know if you know, but the government have actually put a large amount of homeless people into hotels. So I've been, I would say, fortunate enough to have had the opportunity to have worked with people that have suffered like being on the streets, and have been able to been housed in hotels over this COVID.
So apart from, obviously, you got the sack.
I didn't get the
You got
back,
redundant, my mistake. You got made redundant,
right?
And now you helped other people during the COVID time,
right?
So, what did that involve? Actually coming out your house and going to work?
Yeah, I mean, I was working in hotels. I was working with the homeless. I had to physically work with them.
Okay.
So yeah, I had to come out. I had to be on the forefront, and PPE. I was all masked up, and out there doing my thing. So yeah, I suppose I was a key worker.
Yeah, you would be. Yeah, dealing with all the I wouldn't say downtrodden, but all the struggling people.
Right.
So, did you pick up any hobbies over the? Did you, because I take it you weren't at work 5 or 6 days a week. It's probably.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What, did you find any new?
I did.
DIY or anything?
No, not quite that. You know what? To be honest with you, I had so much DIY to do that I didn't get to do. That's still sitting there for me, waiting for me to do it. But what I did pick up over the lockdown is I started baking. I found my passion.
Is it cakes or bread or?
Cakes. I will be moving on to bread, but at the moment it's cakes. Maybe. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. But as it stands, I'm making cakes. And that was because of COVID and being locked down, and it was quite a depressing time. I'm sure that a lot of people can understand where I'm coming from. I think it was a time of me as an individual. I'm very active. I'm very on the go. I'm always doing things. I'm always out and about. But this was a period of my life where I didn't have that opportunity. So I had to kind of fall into myself. And baking was kind of my therapy almost. So I thank God that I found it. I thank God that I found something to keep me sane, because it was a period of self-assessment. It was kind of like a finding yourself time of life, and I felt that the baking was it was therapy.
So what kind of cakes were you making?
You know what? I've been open to everything. It basically started on my birthday. So on my birthday, I said to my auntie, she bakes cakes. I want to make my own birthday cake. So she helped me make it. And from there, every say party or event that I've been to, people are asking me to make cake. So I've made everything from chocolate, vanilla, coconut. I made a vegan cake the other day. So I'm kind of open to whatever my people want me to make. I'm open to learning.
So are you videoing yourselves with these? It sounds like you could do, there's many people who did a podcast on baking.
Right.
Or vlogs, I should say.
Okay.
Like YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go down that same route?
I will, in good time. As it stands, I'm still new to the whole
baking
thing. So I'm not videoing, I'm taking pictures of the end result. I'm planning on taking a course to perfect the skill. But once I feel a little bit more confident, I'll start filming myself and maybe create a podcast like you, Simon.
It may be a good idea to video yourself when you're baking, because you can see where you go wrong.
True.
And what's in comparison to other people who are more experienced in that area and stuff.
True.
So your new job that you've got back into, how are you finding that? Are you liking it?
I'm loving it. I think I'm loving it more so because I'm actually getting stuck into something other than my part-time role. I'm being able to kind of focus on something else. Again, it's like another distraction, and I've been able to go into the office and meet with my peers, and they're really nice, so I've been loving it.
So going back to the homeless people, what was that like? Because I had a guy, I interviewed him, he said he stayed in a hotel in Bayswater, it was £100 a night. It was okay at first, it was great, he said, and then next night they moved 85 homeless people into a hotel and all hell broke loose. What was it like for you?
You know what, initially I hadn't ever worked in that type of setting, and not that I'm judgmental, but I was quite I don't know if I'd say worried about what it was going to be like and how I would respond to working with the homeless. But it is something that I wanted to do, and I had a full understanding that, you know, everyone's going through their whatever situation. But I took to it like a duck to water, to be honest. I've met people that have come from all walks of life. And to be honest with you, I think it taught me a lot. Working in that in with the homeless has taught me a lot. Because I've learned from other people what their experiences are, what they've been through, and people that are pulling through. There's many people that have gone in from the streets that have managed to find jobs because they've got an address, that have been housed, that have changed their lives around. So in some respect, I could actually say I've been inspired by some of the people that I'm working with.
Any particular stories that you want to share of someone you met?
Someone that I met, there was a particular guy that I met that stood out to me. He was a heroin addict. He managed to get off drugs. He managed to get a job. This was a little while ago, so I didn't know him whilst he was on heroin, but this was his story. He managed to get a job. He managed to get the job whilst in the hotel. And yeah, this guy completely just, he's still in transition, but he really is turning his life around. And for me, he stood out to me because of certain issues that I've had in my own life. It's taught me that, you know, with willpower you can do whatever you want, really. So yeah, that's kind of like, that's probably a story that stood out to me the most.
Did he say how he got into that predicament in the first place?
Yeah, his story was quite interesting. He was actually from a very well-to-do background. His family own a chain of hairdressers. He was from a very wealthy background. He had a friend that was selling heroin. So as well as working in a hairdresser, he also started selling himself, and then through selling he one day decided to try some, and then it just went from there. And then he became homeless. His girlfriend kicked him out, and yeah, he just turned to the streets, and he didn't have anything to do with his children. He hadn't seen his children in like 7 years. And he literally said he lost everything. He was very close to suicide. He'd given up. But then he met a girl, and she wasn't into drugs. She was completely different to him. And she was his inspiration and his kind of motivation to get off the drugs and just try and lead a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, he came clean and he sorted himself out. So yeah, it's a very inspiring story.
Do you know if he's seeing his kids now then?
I know that was his plan to. I've not worked with him in a little while, so I'm not really sure where he's at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you're still doing it today then?
I'm still doing it today, but I work at various different hotels. The hotel thing is going to shut down very soon. I think at the end of this month, the end of July, like next week.
So what's the government going to do? Just kick everyone out on the street again?
Well, what they're saying is they're going to put those who haven't been housed into hostels, but they've managed to house quite a lot. It's quite interesting actually, because
suddenly they've housed
the government have paid up 600 million to accommodate all these people on the streets. So it's almost like, where did you find this? Why couldn't you have found this money before? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, it's the same question for everything, isn't it?
It's the same question.
You've got money for wars, but you haven't got money for helping the public who's giving you their money in the first place.
Exactly.
We won't get into that kind of politics.
We won't get into that, Simon. We don't want to get into any problems.
But anyway, great interview. Thanks a lot for that.
Thanks for interviewing me, Simon. It's been a pleasure.
And for those guys, people at home, I hope you like the podcast. Very interesting. A bit about homeless, a bit about career, a bit about losing a job, becoming redundant in what was it, 1 million people or something that got made redundant, I should say, not sacked, over the period of the lockdown. But you know, it's positives. They got re-employed. So, on another note, don't forget to listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, all about the reasons why they invest in Africa. Real people from around the world, real investors. The main reason is generally that Africa has the fastest growing economies on the planet and has done for the last 5 years. So, makes interesting stories. It's good times, bad times, sad times, happy times. Apart from that, stay safe and have a good day. All right.